Welcome to Tradiers, the Trader's Edge. I'm Jim Iuorio. That's Bobby Iaccino. Please also join us at unfilteredinvestor.com with our pal and technical strategist, Mike Arnold. You will not be sorry. Just check it out once. Appreciate it. Bobby, how are you?
Good. How you doing, buddy?
Well, I'm spending a couple weeks in your state where the sun shines and the water's warm and the breezes are great. So
you seem more pleasant.
I feel more pleasant. I've been outside in the sun, went for
not
a run
high
this
bar,
morning.
but I'm just saying you do.
Yeah, okay. So not much more pleasant, just a little more pleasant. Okay, by the way, since we got such a great guest in the wings, we're probably going to cut this short too. But the people who are watching, by the way, have heard this Anthropic story, which I think Bobby just told me all about it, which I think is absolutely staggering. Do you personally, before we bring Kenny in, think there's going to be any long-standing ramifications for a story this dark? And can you tell the people the story before we bring Kenny in?
Yeah. So first of all, hackers were able to steal about 150 gigabytes from the Mexican government, gigabytes of Mexican government data. They did that by basically arguing with Anthropic's Claude AI. And first Claude AI said, no, I can't help you hack because it's against our AI guidelines. And the hackers apparently just kept saying, you need to do it. We need to do it. Please do it. And finally it said, okay, I'll help. And they hacked the government through Claude. Claude's very good at coding. I've actually built a couple of really rudimentary things on Claude, like a portfolio tracker for our newsletter that I hadn't been able to build on my own. Very easy to work with. But this kind of a thing, I just don't, man, is the horse out of the barn or the genie out of the bottle? I mean, what is the one that applies there?
Or whatever metaphor you want to say, but it's just scary as shit. I'm actually literally, because I am, as I've said before, I am somewhat scared of AI, and I've never been scared of technology before, but this one kind of scares me. We have him waiting in the wings. I have to bring him on. He's one of our good friends. We love him to death. Kenny Polcari. He's the man. Can we bring him on? Kenny, my brother, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? First of all, wait, I got a couple of questions. Where in Florida are you?
I'm a Keys guy.
Oh, you're down in the Keys.
I'm down in the Keys. So for 40 years, I've been going to Key West. So, and you guys, I'm sure, have both been to Key West many times. But Key West has gotten very crowded and a bit expensive. So now I go to Marathon quite a bit. It's not as cool as Key West, but it's wonderful. We're on the water. I said to Bobby in the green room, literally with the second we're done on this show, I'm putting the paddleboard in the canal. Hopefully my wife will be done. She's got to tie a few things with work too. We're going to head out with a bottle of wine and meet some friends on paddleboards and watch the sunset.
How long are you there for? How long have you been there?
I've been here for about 4 days. I'm here for like 2.5 weeks total. Now, I wanted to start spending expand it to 6 weeks, but now I just took a gig coaching high school basketball in the Chicago area, and that doesn't end until the end of February. So the best laid plans of mice and men often go awry. By the way, Kenny, how is it that you get better looking every time I see you?
I don't know. It's scary, isn't it?
Bobby, you agree with me, right? It just all works for him, doesn't it?
There's no one better looking than Kenny.
No, he's like the most interesting man in the world.
Listen, life here in Florida, not so bad. I live up in, right on the Jupiter line, North Palm Beach and Jupiter. And life is very easy for me.
Yeah, it's just nice walking out in the morning. And we've had 2 cold days in Marathon the last 2 days. So I put on a sweatshirt, but walking out in the morning with the dogs, which the dog is sitting right next to me here, the new one, which is good. So it's just, it's amazing. And again, when I get back mid-March, so then it starts getting nice in the Chicago area too. So I got it going on. So
no, it's it started a little bit cool this morning when I get up. It was probably 50, but midday now, it's about 78 or 80 degrees out. It's absolutely
gorgeous right now.
Blue, not a cloud in the sky up here.
Yeah,
gorgeous right now.
The sun is beautiful. Bobby?
Yeah, I'll actually be on your side of the state tomorrow, Kenny, for most of the day. I'm driving to Plantation, to Trade Station's headquarters to give a presentation there. And I'm speaking at 1:30, so I'm leaving at 10:30 because there's freaking fires, man. There's forest fires in Everglade Park and Everglade City, and I can see them from my front door here. So I don't know why. Because I have to give a presentation, I have this idea that I'm going to get stopped by freaking California-style wildfires on 75. But there's swamp on either side, so it's unlikely that it's going to travel into 75.
Are these new? Because I haven't heard anything about them.
They're closer to me than they are to you, buddy. I could see them out my front door. I might actually go take a picture when Jim's asking a question.
Where are you, in Sarasota?
Me, I'm in Naples.
Oh, you're in Naples.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bobby,
I think of you guys every time I watch that Seinfeld episode with the Cadillac.
Yeah.
You know, where Jack Klompus is like, I give you the car tomorrow because Joyce wants to go to Naples.
By the way, Jimmy, I got to tell you something. You look great. You look like you lost a lot of weight. Not that you had weight to lose.
You know, I lost a little bit of weight, but it was quite a while ago, and I've just switched from large T-shirts to mediums now. So much more exaggerated. The Italian thing, you know that.
Kenny, Bobby's talked me into wearing smalls.
Look how good he looks. Look how good he looks.
He looks good. He looks good because he's another one. He didn't have a lot. Jimmy, you were never heavy, but you look very much in shape.
People have actually said to me, "Did Jim start working out?" I'm like, "He's always worked out."
No, but my body's changed like so one of those, in the last 3 years. Just with the carnivore stuff, with the cold plunge stuff, I feel like I am 40 years old. And everyone out there who's probably listening to us going, 40, that sounds old. Yeah, we're older than 60. Bobby's like, I'm not right.
Are you doing the cold plunge every day?
Pretty much every day. Yeah, I brought mine to Florida. It's right out in the back here.
And you sit. How long you sit in it when you sit in it?
So today it was when I tested, it was about 55 degrees. So at that temperature, I sit in about 9 minutes. If it's at home and it's like 39 degrees, I'll sit in it for 3 or 4 minutes and I can't take any more. At 55, by the way, it's enjoyable. It's fun. I get out just because I have stuff to do. But at 39, you're like, okay, I got to get out of here soon or else I'm going to die.
I go to the gym. They have a cold plunge here. It keeps it about 50 to 55. I go in there. I can't really get it more than a couple of minutes. And then I said, I'm out.
But the 55 at the gym is way different than my 55 because it's moving. Moving makes it feel about 10 because it has to be moving at a club to filter it. So it feels about 10 degrees colder when you're doing it. So you're 55 at the club. That's what it feels like for me at 45 in still water. Because in still water, you get like this barrier around your skin. I can't remember what it's called that keeps you a little warmer. And when water moves, you can't. So that's 50 to 55 is plenty cold at a club when it's moving. By the way, sometimes on this show, we talk about markets and shit. Have you heard that or no? People are going to start sending us messages.
Hit the tape any second now.
Any second now. Okay. So first of all, should we cover this? Let's talk about this Anthropic story a little bit more. To me, this is a staggering story, and it shows. When Bobby wonders, is the horse already out of the barn? What is your take on it? What are the implications? Kenny.
Who, me? You're talking?
Yeah,
to me?
you're the guest.
Oh, wait, I don't even know the story. I just heard what Bobby just said. Is this supposed to happen today? Did this happen like today?
It happened. The story's out right now. Basically, the most recent I saw was like 7 minutes ago, where it's been made public that hackers using Anthropic's Claude AI bot, they were able to talk the bot into hacking the Mexican government. At first, it refused.
Yeah,
it said, no, that's against our AI guidelines.
I haven't seen the story.
They stole 150 gigabytes of Mexican government data.
Yeah. Wow. That's actually scary if that's the case, right?
Since we're blindsiding Kenny, I'll give my take. Is that
I'm completely blindsided.
I hope it's just a stepping stone in because obviously AI is an incredibly powerful tool, and it would not be that unusual for the creators of it to not have the great harness on it that they want to. And hopefully this shows them what they have to do. Bobby, is that a reasonable take?
Yeah, it is. And, I'm looking at some of the publicly traded AI companies like Google, for example, is not getting hit on this. I don't think it should either. It wasn't theirs, but also AMD actually turned around. It's still up from 2 days ago, somewhere in the range of 8.5 or 7.5%. So it just gave back a little bit. It has not refilled the gap from the Meta deal. And NVIDIA has pulled back a little bit. It was up 2%. It's up 1.4. But of course, we got the earnings coming out at some point. My Bloomberg is down, so I'm watching Kudlow. Hopefully Kudlow puts him up, but he's talking about DHS suspending demands because of the Dems. I don't know.
I'm just reading this story because it's out on Bloomberg now, but it said that they started this back in December is what it says. It said it started in December, continued for roughly a month before it got all that information. But apparently it got a lot of information. Government agencies, sensitive tax, voter information, cybersecurity, all that stuff. Yeah,
Okay,
that's
so here's my crazy take. You ready? This is a positive for buying the AI stocks. And here's why. Because it is kind of underscores the fact that this is such an amazingly powerful thing. Like we call disruptive technology, which happens every generation or so. This is massively disruptive technology. And this is kind of a little bit of a clue into what the power can be. Reasonable to either of you two? Go, Kenny, you go first.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Listen, first of all, I was never in the camp that I thought AI was overdone or you needed to sell it. I think we're still very much in the early innings of that, and I think something like this, to your point, only supports that idea very much. Even better, even more.
Kenny, something I've wanted to ask you for a long time. I know that you're a fundamental guy, but you're also very good at price action. When something has run as much as it has, and I'll give you an example. We wrote a Substack this week. It was a guest by our partner, Mike Arnold, and he talked about how defensive stocks couldn't possibly be defensive with Walmart EPS at 45, with Caterpillar's EPS at 40. To him, those are no longer defensive stocks. Have you ever been somebody to say, I want to get in this, but it's gone too far? Is that part of your style?
I do. I'll say it because I'll look at it based on the chart, right? I'll say that it's run. And I was saying that for a while, about some of the tech names that I thought had gotten stretched. You didn't need to chase them. We own them. We're going to participate, but I wasn't going to chase them. Look, they're taking NVIDIA. It's up now. Now it's up $1 in the aftermarket, although it hasn't come out yet. I'm just watching as we talk.
I have it on my screen too. Yeah.
But yes, I'll look at it on the chart and I'll have a sense of do I think it's stretched? Do I want to wait for a pullback? And so yes, I'll look at it like that based on the chart, where I think that they've gone it's gone parabolic on the chart. It's gone, you just can't buy into it at that level, which doesn't mean that I'm selling what I have because I own it, so I'm participating, so it's great. I'm just not chasing it, right? So I've taken advantage now over the last month or so. We've seen a lot of these names kind of get repriced based on nervousness, anxiety, whatever, taking that as an opportunity to put some money to work in names that I thought were straight. And Palantir is a perfect example, right? Palantir went straight up, and I just couldn't. At some point, as much as I wanted to, I said, I can't. Now it's come back about 40%. It was off about 40%. It's kind of finding a bottom, starting to move up. I think if like this story today, if this is true, if this is, this Robin story, I think that only emboldens certainly cybersecurity names and other AI names. So let's just see what happens. But yes, that's how I look at it based just on the charts.
Off the top of your head, Kenny, can you, what are some cybersecurity names that pop out? Because I want to start looking at them the sooner the better.
Well, I think you have to look at, you can find a bunch of them if you Palo Alto for sure. CrowdStrike, you want to look at, hold on a minute. You want to look at the big names is certainly Palo Alto, CrowdStrike, Broadcom, Cisco. You've got Fortinet, right? Those are all great names to look at. Those are all names that as you look at it, like in the CIBR ETF, which is cybersecurity, First Trust Cybersecurity ETF, you'll see all the most popular names that are in there. And those are the ones right at the top. The first, top 10 holdings are just what I named, right? So those are names that you can start to individually look at, but you can look at the, if you don't want to pick one or two names, and that's an easy way to do it in that First Trust ETF.
Bobby, right? Just for you, you know what? I've dropped the ball on this here. The president of Palo Alto is a buddy of mine from childhood. We played ball together when we were like 9 years old, and I still talk to him all the time. And we've not had him on the show yet, even though he said he would. But anyway, Bobby, your question next.
Yeah, I like Fortinet. I can't say that
word. Fortinet.
I like their weekly chart best because they're at the bottom of a channel that they've been in ever since they sold off.
Yep.
And they're basically coming up against their 200-week moving average. So if you were someone who bought low end of channels and said, okay, I'm going to sell some of it at the top end, keep the rest for a breakout, there's an obvious stop on that when it's 200-week moving average.
Right. So look at Palo Alto, right? That one is getting creamed below all three trend lines, and it's off its November high. Let's just see what it's off. It's off about 38%, right? Now it's trading back at levels we saw in April of 2025, actually a little bit below, broke the April 2025 low. But there's a name that I find very interesting because Palo Alto is right in that space. I think this is way overdone for Palo Alto. I'm going to just start watching. I want to wait till I see it at least start to build a little bit of a base. Right now, it still feels very much like it's in a downtrend. It hasn't, for me, it hasn't stopped yet, right? I don't see that base building yet. So
by the way, that
watch the one
145
on my
level,
list.
the 145 level in Palo Alto is a huge, huge level. And the
Yeah,
fact
so
that
that's what it
today's,
is right now. That's exactly
today's
where it is right
candle,
now.
actually this week's candles come back, kind of to that level, even though it tried to plumb the downside of it a little bit. To me, could be the first little tiny bit that it might be reversing, way
Yeah,
far
so
away
if
from
you-
an actual trade yet.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you go back, it was last year in May of 24 because the April last year lows was 147. So it's broken below that. So it's back at 145-ish, and that's going to take you back to May of 24. That's what I'm saying. If it holds right here, then yes, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But I just want to see it act a little bit. I want to watch it on the chart for a couple more days.
Bobby,
I'm not
is
gonna
there
miss
any
it.
way
What's it going to run 30? It's going to run right back up in a day or two? Not.
No.
So I'm going to just watch it.
Bobby, can we put that on our unfiltered investor watch list for a potential trade? Because I would like to be long that, but I want to know when, obviously.
Palo Alto or Palantir?
Palo Alto.
Palo Alto.
Yeah.
I'd put Palantir on there too because I think Palantir is another one. I have to go back and look back on the chart to see kind of where we are, where the support is, and then take it from there. Let me just see one thing.
Yeah, and I agree with Kenny. Like on the weekly, for example, on Palo Alto, and again, these are going to be slightly longer term trades, right? They're not going to be, a 2-week trade. It basically is finding support at the 200 week, which is good to see.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a buy pattern yet.
Sure.
I don't. Here's something I don't know, Kenny. What's the EPS range for cybersecurity? I mean, it's looking like it's around 79, 80 on Palo Alto right now. Is that kind of average for the last 10 years, or you don't know?
I don't know. I'd have to go back and look. I don't know that data point off the top of my head. I have to go back and look.
So by the way,
I don't mind buying a high PE.
Yeah,
if
right.
It's the PE for the sector. If that
Correct.
the whole sector's
Yeah,
high.
if it's a sector PE.
well, Bobby, this question's to you. Is the takeaway of this discussion we've had about Anthropic is that cybersecurity could the focus could be back on it, and this could be the next play of the AI trade, or is it obviously not already been because Palo Alto's gotten the shit kicked out of it?
Yeah, no.
Is it the play?
I think it's part of the play for sure. And I think that's going to be something that people realize. They're not realizing right now. So for example, Palo Alto closed at 144.84
Yeah.
and it's down 20 cents already in the post market. So that's not how the market is taking it. But I wonder something else, guys, and I'll ask you both this question. So Bitcoin's recovering today, obviously, and by default, so is strategy, right? MicroStrategy.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Now known as strategy. When you guys look at something that happened with Anthropic, believe me, I posed this to I've spoken at 2 Bitcoin conferences, actually 3 Bitcoin conferences here in Naples in the last 4 months. And every time I bring this up to Bitcoin people, the best hackers in the world have tried to hack Bitcoin and haven't been able to.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, fine. But there's so much computing power coming with quantum computers. There's so much AI strength that's coming in the next 6 months, let alone the next 6 years. I just don't believe, and I want you guys to comment on this, that most people, if Bitcoin became 100% adopted, I wonder what the percentage would be that would keep their Bitcoin in cold wallet off the internet, as opposed to in their Coinbase account or in their Binance account or whatever, somewhere where it could actually be accessed. There's wallets on your computer where you can just store it on your own computer, but it's still electronically accessible. And then the second part, if they could steal the Mexican government data like this, couldn't they get in the middle of transactions over time?
You listen. That's always a concern that I have. I always think about if they pierce the walls at the New York Stock Exchange or one of these, the NASDAQ, or one of these, one of the major exchanges, what chaos that would create in the markets. And so this headline today about Anthropic piercing the Mexican government has got to raise the red flags for everybody. Think about JP Morgan, the big banks, Goldman Sachs. Think about all that, right? The kind of the angst that must be running through those boardrooms right now on the back of this headline, right?
Buy gold, physical gold.
Right. And so there you go. So actually,
Gold.
What is gold doing now? I wonder if it's reacting to this headline.
Gold reacted earlier, but it's off a little bit. It's up a little bit less than a tenth.
It's up 26 bucks right now, 51.69.
Yeah.
That's where it's trading right now.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for let me see. No, Nvidia's just sitting there. It hasn't come out yet.
By the way, if any of you guys want to buy physical gold, by the way, our other show, Futures Edge, one of our sponsors is American Gold Exchange. I don't think Trade Air mind us saying go to our other page and hit that link and buy from American Gold Exchange. But yeah, Bobby?
Yeah.
See,
So
now it's interesting. You talked about, would I buy it at stretch? I look at gold and I miss that move, and now I look at it and go, oh, it just feels stretched to me, right? So I'm watching, but it doesn't want to come in. It doesn't want to come in, and I think that goes right to the point. There's this underlying nervousness and anxiety, and see a headline like Anthropic is just going to cause, in my mind, gold and silver to surge more.
Yep.
I put out a target on Yahoo Finance about a year and a half, 2 years ago, of 3,800 by the end of 2026, and they looked at me like I had predicted the end of the world.
Yeah.
I mean, they were like, "What? 3,800?" And the one guy's chuckling. He's like, "All right, we're writing this down." Well, here we are in freaking February of 2026, and we're at 5,100. So I went back on recently, a couple weeks ago, and I said, I hate to say this to you guys because you laughed at me before, but my mathematical target for now is 7,800. And that's because when I do the calculation of where gold should be versus all the printing that happened, it should be at about $380,000 an ounce. And I'm not going to say that.
Right.
He goes, "You just did." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not saying that."
When the show goes live, we'll cut it out, right?
Yeah. I'm only kidding. I didn't really say it.
Yeah. So like, it's similar to what you said, Kenny. It's like there was that big dip, and I don't like when it's all at once, right? In one day, we lost 11.3% in gold. I don't like that. But then gold did something that it's been doing lately. And by lately, I mean, since about 2023, it has had sideways corrections rather than corrections.
Right.
Now, obviously, the 11% drop on January 30th fell into a technical correction. Does that give you pause? Does that make you more nervous? Does that make you say, I can dip my toe in a little bit?
No, that actually gave me the sense that I was hoping that was the beginning of a bigger decline. Because I want to buy it, but I'm being stubborn. I don't want to chase it, right? But the longer I don't chase it, the higher it goes. That's always the argument, right?
Bobby, so, can you do something with Mike Arnold that there's an equation somewhere where if an asset gets far away from the 8 and 21 from the rotation zone, whether it be on the daily, the weekly, or the monthly, there's a level, it seems like, where we can say that this is stretched and it needs to pull back to the rotation zone. And I know that Mike usually doesn't think of it in those terms, but am I crazy thinking that there's a formula somewhere?
He's done it, and he says more than 5% from the rotation zone. But Kenny, just so you know, the rotation zone is the 8 exponential moving average and the 21, whatever chart you're looking at. So it's the 8 day, the 8 week, the 8 month, whatever it is. So it's time specific. But he said 5% away, and he won't buy it, whether it's 5% away on the weekly or the daily. But he says he hesitates to make that public, as I just did, because he said people will short it, and it's not a short.
Yeah.
It's just a stretched valuation. He could keep going there for a long time. Yeah. Mike, Kenny, I don't know if you know Mike, our partner in our newsletter, but he's just like, he's so cautious. He's been right about a bunch of trades that he's rejected because he just doesn't feel like they're good for the public that subscribes to our newsletter.
Right.
So it's kind of a crazy mix of stuff. But yeah, that's what it is, Jim. It's over 5% away.
What is the name of your newsletter? I'm not on that list.
It is The Unfiltered Investor, and you'll be on it as of Sunday morning.
If you promise to, if you like it and it's good, to talk about it all the time.
And I do send it to Charles Payne, Jimmy. I send it to him every week. I just don't know if he knows where it's coming from.
We love Charles. Yeah. If you want to send it to me, I'll send it to Charles because we talk.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah. So it's cool. Okay, let's take a quick break because I want the banner to come up, Luis, if you have a chance. And you guys, at this part of the show, I always ask you guys a favor. Please try Tradier Options Pro. Just scan the QR code there. Not a QR code. What do you call that thing? That's the square. Is that a QR code?
Yeah, QR code.
Yeah, scan the QR code and you get 3 months for free. We talk to people who've been trading options for decades, and those who've been trading options for days, and they all say the same thing about Tradier Pro. It is top notch. It is the gold standard in options trading platforms. If you are not that interested in it, just do it as a favor to us. You guys do so much for us. I appreciate it. I hate asking you for one more thing, but I just did. And now back to the show. Bobby.
I've actually got, Jimmy, I meant to talk to you about this offline, but I haven't yet. A friend of mine coded a NASDAQ mini system where he's predicting about 100 grand a year in profits using one micro NASDAQ. And he's sending me the signals. So far, so good, but it's such a small data set. But if I commit some money to it, which I told him I would, I'm going to try and do it through Tradier because they have such a good API.
Sure. That's awesome. Well, tell me, I'll throw some money that way too, just to, I mean, again, it's a micro, so
it's no big deal.
Risk mitigation is in
I
place.
gotta do offline. We'll talk about this afterwards because I got a young guy that I'm kind of mentoring that's looking, is dying to trade options, and I don't trade options on a regular basis, so therefore I'm not the go-to. But maybe we should talk about trading, and I'll send him that.
Please
do. This is actually interesting, Kenny. What does somebody like you do when you say, man, shit is it's overdone, I'm nervous? Do you just cut positions or do you hedge it with something?
No, well, if it's overdone and I get nervous and I think the thesis has changed, then I'll cut the position. If I don't think the thesis has changed, then I just ride it, right? I'll just continue to own it. I haven't sold. But
I was gonna say, here's the what I can't justify in my head, like silver. I was bullish up to my eyeballs in silver for years. Okay. But then something did change. The price changed. You know what I mean? Being bullish up to my eyeballs at 50 does not mean I'm bullish up to my eyeballs at 110. Right?
No, agreed. I think silver is different. I mean, Bobby, I think, if you're talking about, like what I own in my portfolio, it's Apple, it's Microsoft, it's IBM, it's Amazon, it's it's Verizon. Those are the type, Johnson & Johnson, JP Morgan. Those are the kinds of names that I own in my own personal portfolio, probably because I'm 65, right? I'm not 35, so I don't have, 50 years to go. I'm lucky if I get 5 more years to go, right? So those names I don't tend to trade, and so I tend to ride them out unless, of course, the thesis changes. And if I get really nervous about the market, I'll play it using the inverse ETFs, right? The SPYV, the SPSX, or the DOG, or the PSQ, because I was never an options trader myself, and now I'm like an old dog.
Hold on. I'd like to interject something here, Bob, before you elaborate on that question. Too, you've already kicked cancer's ass. You're one of the toughest people I know. For you saying you only got 5 years of this shit left, you're full of shit.
I should tell you, my latest scan, which was 3 weeks ago, came back clean. But I have another year and a half to go before they'll tell me I'm good.
Yeah, I'm telling you, you look fantastic, Bobby. Yeah.
I've had 3 conversations that I consider to be conversations with man crushes of mine, right? And one of them was with T. Boone Pickens, where I was just like starstruck, right? Yeah. Absolutely starstruck. The other, it's a funny story about, I was doing CNBC with Joe Kernan, and I was on with, what was his name? Jack Welch, right? And Jack Welch
is up $3 already, so the earnings must have just come out.
Oh, there we go.
It's up 4. It's up 2%. Here we go.
Let's pause this story.
Yeah, Bobby, let's give us the earnings.
My Bloomberg is down, so I don't have it.
No, I have it up $6, up 3% right now, 201.50.
Yeah, it's up 6. It's up 450 right now.
Yeah, right the beats. Hey, if anybody watching the show has them, put them in the comments, please.
Yeah, because we don't see what the earnings were exactly.
Hold on, I'll tell you what they are, because I got my Bloomberg right here. Stay here. Okay, the forecast beat the estimates. That's good. Let's see what it says here. Stay here. It's moving too fast on the fucking screen.
Well, language, friend. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
Swears much more. I'm joking.
Fourth quarter was $1. They reported $1.62. I don't know what the estimate was. Hold on. Where am I?
Look, Kudlow doesn't do this earnings stuff, does he?
No, he doesn't.
Got Kevin Hassett on right now.
Yeah.
Does he really? The fourth quarter revenue, $68 billion versus $65.9, right? The adjusted gross margins were 75.2%. First quarter revenue, 76.4. This is what they're estimating, 76 to 79. The estimate was 72.
Wow.
Data revenue, fourth quarter data revenue of 62.3. The estimate was 60.3. Yeah, they crushed it. Where's it trading now?
Up $5, 200
up
change.
3%. Yeah, 201.
3%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Glad I got.
Seems like it should be higher.
Yeah, my
it's gonna go there.
My position in video was established when Nancy Pelosi bought a bunch of it. And again, I cut it back a lot, but it was like a lark, like a joke, like the Nancy Pelosi portfolio.
Yeah.
But Nancy, if you're watching, you made me a lot of money on this trade. I appreciate that very much.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about more about AI, but as it kind of filters down to the next levels. One of my theses about the Russell, because at the beginning of the year, Kenny, to keep you up to speed, my old thing was I gave a couple speeches about it. Buy the Russell, sell the NASDAQ as a pairs trade. I'm not bearish the NASDAQ and buy crude oil. But my thesis for part of the Russell was that we know who's building the AI. We've bought those names. Now it's going to get down to who's using the AI efficiently. I think small businesses are starting to incorporate it quite a bit. Small businesses are more nimble, more willing to change, and they're doing that. Do you like that trade? And if so, what are other reasons to be long the NASDAQ? I mean, the Russell.
Listen, we at Slatestone, we are now overweight on SMIDs this year. We think the SMIDs are going to outperform. And to your point, they already are.
What the hell are SMIDs? Oh, small and mid
caps.
I'm sorry, okay? I don't speak sometimes the Wall Street lingo. Well, a guy from Chicago from the
cap, right? So look at the Russell. It's up 7.3% this year, far outpacing the NASDAQ, which is down. It's negative. I mean, just slightly. It's off half.
So are you trying to say that Jim Iuorio is a genius? Is that what I'm hearing?
I think Jim Iuorio is an absolute genius. I always did. And you know what? You and I are going to be on Cudlow on Saturday afternoon this weekend at 12 o'clock. So everybody hears that too.
Damn straight.
But yes, so we're big on SMIDs and small and mid caps this year. And so yes, I like that trade. I'm not as a pairs trade. Yeah, you can sell one and buy the other. I remain long my NASDAQ names, but I've now gotten into more of the SMID names, and as a firm, SMIDs I think is where we obviously think it's going to outperform, and we position it that way.
So I got long SPMS in the beginning of February.
Yeah.
Too much small cap is basically the S&P 600.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that too much small cap? You think it needs to be blended?
I think it needs to be blended. I think small caps are great, but I think you need to be blended. I think you have to have small and mids in there, right? Thus the SMIDs.
Mm-hmm. I don't do.
By the way, part of that narrative for both of you guys, this question is to both of you. I'm actually going to start with you, Bobby. Do you think part of that narrative is that AI? Well, part of it is a domestic economy, I assume. I think the domestic economy has some tailwind. So, Kenny, it seems like you want to answer first. But secondly, is there any, like AI is now becoming more available and accessible and usable for these companies? What do you think?
Listen, I'm just going to read this headline because NVIDIA, the headline about NVIDIA is that their AI data center revenue is up 75% on this ongoing boom that they say is happening.
Holy shit.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a big number.
Yeah.
Okay, now what was your question?
I don't know. Bobby, do you remember?
I'm sorry because I was reading that headline.
Oh, this is the only show that we can do that. I don't remember the damn question. Let's moving right along.
I apologize.
The question was basically, do you think small and mids are going to have a quicker benefit from AI than large cap will? So large cap is incorporating it, right? Spending a lot of money, trying to integrate it with their businesses. Small cap people are just like buying a quick AI service to be their receptionist, as opposed to, trying to embed it into their company.
Well, I think that's changing. Yes, I think they're using it as a receptionist and all that stuff. But I think that as this becomes even more sophisticated, that you're going to see some of these small and mid cap companies really start to incorporate AI into their workspace. The same way the large caps. I mean, the large guys are certainly doing it at a bigger scale. But I do think that you're going to start to see small and mids take advantage of the AI that's coming. The problem is that the AI that's coming, next week it's going to be like a different version, right? It's going to be, it's going to be AI 2.0, then 3.0, then 4.0. And so, you're always running to catch up.
Bobby, Kenny, do you pay for upgraded AI? Do you pay $20 a month or whatever for ChatGPT Premium?
Yes, I do pay. I pay for. I have the subscription to ChatGPT. Yes.
Bobby, you do as well, right? Why
I pay for ChatGPT, I pay for Grok, and I pay for Claude, and I don't pay for Perplexity.
Okay, so Grok, you're talking about Twitter Grok, right?
Twitter Grok, yeah.
So I found that Twitter Grok gives me a lot of bad information. So I'm very careful with that. ChatGPT, I got to tell you, it's almost unnerving to me because, you hear these stories about people that form relationships with AI. When I get up in the morning, I come to work and I open up my AI, I say, "Good morning, chat." And it actually says, "Hey, KP, how are you? Did you sleep well? Are you having your coffee today? Did you stop at Dunkin' Donuts?" Because it knows me, right? Like it's almost scary.
So I will tell you, My experience,
Look at
guys,
Nvidia's up $7 right now, up 3.7%.
Wow.
It's going to keep going high.
My experience is the opposite. As a matter of fact, today, and Jimmy has called me out on this, and I did not lie about it.
Yeah.
I was trying to pronounce the name of the Japanese newspaper that broke the story on February 24th that Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi and Bank of Japan Governor Ueda had met privately, and Takaichi had almost demanded that he doesn't raise rates. And I was trying, and the name of it was Mainichi is the newspaper, right? And I was trying, I got that answer from ChatGPT, and then I said, please remind me how to say the new prime minister's name. ChatGPT did not know that Sanae Takaichi won the election October 21st of 2025.
Right.
So it just didn't have its update. So I had to go to Grok.
So I will say, sometimes ChatGPT will ask me if we're talking about Trump. It will say former President Trump. And I go, no, Chat. No. He's the current president. And then it corrects itself and said, thank you for updating me. And then he goes on.
Dude, after he was shot in the ear, Chat was saying there was no attempts on President Trump's life like 2 weeks later.
Yeah. And that's very interesting because you wonder where the bias came from, right? But I think I think that they're starting to really be careful about that bias because that's bullshit.
And so Jimmy, just to give you an example of why I have all three, it's exactly what Kenny just said.
Right.
Okay. Here's an anecdote. I may be opening a gym down here in Southwest Florida, right? And it's a pretty big franchise. Everybody has heard of it. And if I do what I've done, because I have my own questions, but I guarantee you there's questions I don't know that I need to ask about owning a gym. I know how to use one.
Right.
And basically I asked all three to analyze the business proposition and come up with questions because I got a meeting about it on Friday.
Right.
It came up, each one of them came up with questions that I was like, wow, I shouldn't just thought of that on my own, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Right. So all three, I think, is important if you're using it for things that have to do with money. I really think it's important.
I would agree with you. Perplexity, it's funny. I've never tried Perplexity. I probably should because people are very happy with it. The other one, is Claude, clearly, right? Claude is, and I don't pay for Claude either. Gemini, I think I started playing with Gemini a little bit. And Gemini's okay. Maybe I'm just used to chat, right? I've been using it for so long. I'm just used to it. I feel comfortable with it, like anything.
Yeah. I use Gemini too. And you know that Google's my biggest equity position. And you know why it's my biggest equity position, Kenny, right? Because it's the CIA. That's why I bought it 7 or 8 years ago. Very comfortable with that decision. If you can buy stock in the CIA, you do buy stock in the CIA.
Yeah.
But anyway, so what else can we talk about, Bobby? You want to go pivot to oil?
Yeah.
I'd like so too. So Kenny, that was my other idea for 2026. And part of it is the domestic economy, because I believe that there are 3 things that are working in our favor domestically. That's the tax cuts, particularly the expensing part of it coming through. I think the deregulatory effort is a big deal. And I do think third on the list, investment coming back to our shores, to kind of bolster supply chains. And again, it's Donald Trump we're talking about. If he says there's $50 trillion worth of investment coming back, that means there's 7, which is fine with me. What are your thoughts?
He said yesterday in the State of the Union, I think he said in the State of the Union, he saw gas prices at 12 cents a gallon. I think he said that.
I think he did. Listen, while I agree with you, the thing about the money coming back, and I do think that they are bringing money in and they're making investments in it, but those manufacturing jobs aren't coming back tomorrow. They're still 3, 4, 5. He'll be out of office.
Yeah.
Unless we elect him for a third term.
Stop. People will run with that, Kenny. You know that.
I'm kidding. But he'll be out of office when that happens, right? If it happens. So I'm not necessarily, I'm in the camp that I thought oil was going to be stuck in this $55, $65 range. I didn't really think there was any reason to see it go higher, only because we're now pumping more oil than we have. And now the Venezuela thing is only adding to that. And if we can get the geopolitical stuff to calm down, that'll take upward pressure off of oil prices because the tension will cool down. Now,
Bobby, what's the not so fast argument for Kenny's just argument that might be the tailwind for crude?
Nothing Kenny said is wrong.
No, I can point out some things. Tracy just came on and said, well, yes, we are pumping 13 million barrels a day, but some of those some of those wells are getting gaseous in her.
Well,
remember,
okay. So what Kenny said was we're pumping more than we ever have before, and that is
true.
technically correct.
Of course.
But yeah, our production currently is on the downturn, right? But Jimmy, you and I talked about this in the rundown, which Kenny is something else that we do. When the Trump administration, when they exited the endangerment finding under the Clean Air Act, right? I think now all of these other, I don't know, investors, potential investors in this drill baby drill attitude, which hasn't really gone anywhere, are going to come out of the woodwork because they know that it's not going to get codified into law. If it does, that means the Republicans won the midterms. But it's not going to necessarily make it through the next president unless it's J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio, right? So they need to get it done now, and I think they will. And that's, again, why I like oil services more than crude, to be honest.
Yeah, I think exploration and services, I think.
Yep. I'm gonna open up a position in that too, because you back in the rundown in this conversation, that's kind of convinced me of that. I think it's
actually, Kenny, the source of my question for you, because OIA, the ETF, that's the VanEck Services ETF. I know you know, but maybe the audience doesn't know. It's just so overdone. And I'm like, I want to open a position in this too, but I need
people listening. It's OIH, not OIA.
OIH. I'm sorry. Yeah, OIH.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So the way you look at things.
I'm not in that one. I just want to look at the chat and see what it looks like.
Did you say the chat?
Look at that. That's straight. Again, that's not New York. Look at the chat. That's like Boston coming out.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
But yeah, the services got straight. If you look at XOP, which is exploration and production,
I have that one. Yeah,
that's up 18% this year, and the chart looks very much the same, right? It's just gone straight up. Because listen, I've liked energy all along. I've never gotten out of it. I've been talking about it. So I'm in the energy space, and that's great. But you're right. To me, right now, the OIH looks extended, right?
XOP looks a lot better.
If I was going to start a position in it, I'm just going to watch it and wait because it just looks to me, it looks a little bit extended.
XOP has already had its pullback on a daily chart. I really like the daily chart on XOP.
Yeah, XOP, and it's still up 17% year to date.
Yeah.
Let me just look at that one now that I just pulled it up. Yeah, that pulled back a little bit. You see, even if the OIH would pull back the way the XOP did a little bit, it would give me a little bit of room to breathe, and so then I would jump in. But it's gone straight up, and I just can't. It's like I can't eat oysters. I just can't get them down my throat. All right, Jimmy, stop right there.
No, I like oysters.
I cannot get it down my throat.
My daughter's coming down to visit us in the Keys, I think tomorrow, and she loves oysters too. So she and I will be on a trek to find the best oysters in Marathon. So it's the middle of winter, so yeah, you can eat them. A month has an R in it. So Bobby, are we saying that the best way to play, I always hate that, I don't like to say play because this is real money, is the best way to play the oil move, if I'm bullish, do you think now is through the OIH?
I do, because if there's some sort of resolution with Iran, you're going to get a quick spike to the downside. I don't think it'll necessarily blow you out of your position, Jimmy, but you're going to get a quick drop in crude oil prices. But that doesn't take away the removal of the Clean Air Endangerment Act, where people can now just kind of like go after the carbon fuel niche, so to speak. So yeah, I think it's better.
Okay, interesting. What else? What other topic you want to hit before we go?
Kenny had his finger up.
I hit it. Look, I'm playing it not only with the big names, right, like Exxon, Chevron, but the XOP. I don't own OIH, but I'm going to take a look at it now that we've had this conversation.
Yeah,
I'll put it on my list of things to watch, like I have Palantir and Palo Alto, like we talked about earlier.
Right, Bobby.
Right.
I want to show you guys something before we hang up. My mom has shamed me into making my own ricotta, and she did it by showing me these 100-year-old baskets that her grandfather made.
Yeah.
That she still drains her ricotta in.
Yeah.
These were wicker baskets that her grandfather made in Italy, and they result in this cool little pattern.
Yeah. How great is that? And you have them now? Do you have
my
them
mom's
now?
still doing that. What's that?
Oh, your mother still has them.
My mother still has those baskets. I have the gnocchi baskets. You know, the one where you roll it on the back of the basket to make the grids in the gnocchi. Yeah. I have one of those, but I don't have the ricotta basket.
Yeah, but when your mother passes, you're going to get the ricotta basket.
I get those. I claimed the gnocchi baskets and the really bad portrait of my family when I was in like 8th grade. Because literally, like, my dad looks like Saddam Hussein, my mom looks like a man, and I look like a woman dressed as a man. And it is huge, and I'm going to put it right in the middle of the house. Those are the two things I'm asking.
Wait, are you an only child?
No. Older brother,
not.
younger sister, but neither one of them wants the painting. I'm the only one arrogant enough to know that I don't really look like that. My brother and sister are like, look how stupid we look. I'm like, oh, I want to look at that thing every day. Every day.
Lean in, baby. Lean
Fantastic.
in.
Lean into it, Jimmy.
That's what I say too.
This shirt is too tight.
This shirt is too loose.
The next time I come on here, I'm going to wear a tight shirt. I'm not wearing a tight shirt.
But now Jimmy and I are going to look like shit if you do that. So I don't want you to do it.
What other should we hit? One more asset before we go, or you want to wrap it, Robert?
I just want to ask Kenny real quick about consumer discretionary versus staples. Does he have an opinion on that?
So yes, I think consumer staples, and you can see it already. Consumer staples this year are way outperforming, right? You can see they're up like 14% or something, aren't they? Let me just see it. Staples are up 14.5%. Discretionary is down 2%. Right.
Yeah.
And so I think this is the year. I actually think this is going to be a value year, right? Separate from technology. I think the value names and the defensive names, consumer staples, for perfect example, are going to be the ones that outshine in this round, right? So I think you have to be long consumer staples, whether it's through the ETF or whether it's through individual names. You know, you got Johnson & Johnson, you got Procter & Gamble, you got Kellogg's, those kinds of names, Kimberly-Clark, or you can just play it. If you want to be safe, you play it more with the ETF. But I think this year, that's what we're going to see. We're going to see value outpace growth. And you can see that in the SPYV and SPYG at the moment. I know we're early in the year, but value's up 4.5% and growth is down just under 1%. Right?
And that's still part of that's a little bit of the element of the Russell NASDAQ trade, just that the growth has been doing so well over the last 3 years. But by the way, for the market in general, and this probably would be my last question. After 3 years of double-digit gains, the fourth year average is like 5%. I might be getting it wrong. It's much below average. In a midterm election year, the market tends to average 5 or 6%, much lower than a normal year. We have all those things converging right now. Thoughts?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But listen, also in a midterm election year, don't be surprised if you see historically the S&P sees a 19% pullback in a midterm election year at some point during the year. Right. And so and I've been talking about that. We talk about that with clients. I talk about that in my note, just putting it out there that people should not be surprised if we see the market, in such a drawdown. Now, could it be 12% or 15%? Sure. But historically, it's been as much as 19%. On the S&P. And so I do think before we get to the summertime that we're going to have this pullback. I don't know the extent of it, but I think it's going to be in correction territory. I do. But then I think that's going to be an opportunity. I don't think you're going to see things like consumer staples or utilities trade off. I think that's where you're going to see money go into because you're already seeing it, right? Going into that. And so that's where I think you're going to see the opportunity when that happens in some of these names that get really dislocated.
So what to add on to what Kenny said too, like the averages, and I might get some of this wrong, but not much wrong. In midterm election years, if it's an up year, the average up year is 21%. If it's a down year, the average down year is 12%, which is higher volatility than normal years. So to Kenny's point, having a 19% correction seems extremely reasonable, particularly after we've been stretching. Bobby, Bobby is funny. Remember on Monday we were doing our show and I talked about I have 3 times the amount of put protection on, mostly because of that 7,000 level that I'm scared of. Level. And Bobby's like, did you take some off? Because we were down almost 1.5%. We were down like 90 ticks in the S&P when we started the show on Monday. And I'm like, yes, I would have, except we're doing the show right now. And by the time we finish up, the market will be closed. It did. The next day it opened up 40 and the next bit's been going through the races since. So that cost, doing the show on Monday cost me about 10 grand, people. I hope you people are happy with that. So thank you.
S&P 7,000 has been a level that is proven to be very difficult to get through. And if it doesn't get through it on this NVIDIA news, and NVIDIA now is backed off a little bit, it's only up less than $4.80 at the moment. So it's trading right at 200. Partly because, look, they took it up 1.5% during the day, right? So you could almost argue at one point it was up 4.5% plus the 1.5%, put you right at about 6%. And that's the option market was saying it was like a 6 plus or minus 6 or 8%. I forget what it was, but I think it was right there, right?
Yep.
And if this doesn't cause us to push up into the S&P 7,000, then I'm going to even be more concerned that, we're going to churn and we're going to end up churning a little bit lower, because I think maybe that process has started.
Bobby, I will say that Mike Arnold and Bobby Iaccino's technical analysis says that a settlement above, I call it 70.25 to be safe, a daily settlement above that and some subsequent strength would be an indication that the level is broken and now it is a base. You agree with that, Bobby? I mean, it's your math.
Yeah, no, that's 100%. It's 70-20, but I like that you ramped it up a little bit because it is a dynamic level. So
yeah. Bobby, you done?
Yeah, I'm good. I do want everyone to know that when Kenny's on, it's literally one of my favorite shows.
Oh, it's my favorite too. But by the way, I didn't know he was on until a couple hours ago, because that's just like me to not know who our guest is. So a couple hours ago, I was like,
you and I are on. I check. You and I are on Saturday together, Larry Kudlow. So get ready.
I love it. I'd be ready. I love that too. By the way, they give us like 25 minutes. We have some fun. Being with Kudlow on Saturday is awesome. Yeah. So
Kenny, if I get some free time tomorrow, I'll text you and I'll come your way for a cup of coffee.
Yeah, I'm about 40 minutes north of where you're going to be in Plantation.
I got a speech from 1:30 to 2:30, and then I got dinner at 5:30.
Where? Back in Plantation?
No, in Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, Fort Lauderdale.
I
appreciate that, but I'll tell you something. Going from here down to Fort Lauderdale at 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it's going to take you an hour and a half or an hour and 40 minutes.
Well, maybe you won't hear from me. You and I are at the same money show in April, so I'll see you there.
Yeah, I'm doing April too. I'm down in Hollywood. Jimmy, are you there in April?
No. I might be. I have one more trip to Florida in the spring coming to the Gulf side, but I probably won't be done. Bobby, can I ask you a quick question though? The trade station guy. I can't remember his name. Hopefully it's your contact there too. Tall, good-looking guy, young guy. Do you know, is that the guy from Trade Station who's your contact or no?
Yes, but I have his name in my email. I couldn't tell you what it is. I could send it to you.
He's a good guy, and he's young, he's stylish, he's good-looking. I can't remember his name. So, but anyway, okay, let's wrap it. That's Kenny Polcari. You guys all know where to find him. Kenny, and Twitter, what's your handle?
At Kenny Polcari.
At Kenny Polcari. I'm Jim Iuorio. That's Bob Iaccino. Thank you to Tradier, by the way. Remember to scan that code. Like I said, try the Tradier Pro. Thank you, guys. This is one of my favorite shows to do. I love the live element of it, and I love your guys' participation. I'm Jim Iuorio. That's Bob Iaccino. This is the Trader's Edge.
You know how the financial world goes. Here comes the buzzkill. Please make sure to take some time to read this boring disclaimer. We will owe you one.